How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews back with a classic. A classic I don't believe I've ever reviewed. And not by that, I mean, I don't believe how I've never reviewed it. Not that I know I haven't reviewed it kind of thing. Sammy Smith's. Yeah, it's their Imperial Stout. I was out and about yesterday just driving around northern Jersey. And I was going into like random little bottle shops I've never been into before. And not that I haven't seen this. I see this pretty much everywhere I go, but I saw it and I was like, why have I not had this in a billion years, and why haven't I reviewed it? And I said, well, you're going to change that shit right now. So we're going to dive into this sucker. I have no idea how old this is. It has a batch code on it, which looks like SE maybe, 23S1. I have no idea what that means. I don't see any kind of dating on this. I know in some of their bottles, like Yorkshire Stingo, they actually write the actual date on the back, and I don't see it here. It's a 7% Imperial Stout. That's barely an Imperial Stout by today's standards. And it's a Russian Imperial Stout, basically. It says brewed at Samuel Smith Small Traditional Brewery with well water, best barley malt, roasted barley, yeast, hops to create a rich and colorful ale. Deep chocolate in color with a roasted barley nose and a flavor that has complexity of malt, hops, and yeast. Fermented in stone Yorkshire squares. This distinctive type of ale was originally shipped to the Imperial Russia. It was a favorite of Russian nobility. Yeah. Label-wise, classic as classic could be. Yeah, I feel like this is shrunk. Like, didn't this come in the OG kind of size bottles that a lot of the Sammy Smith's beers come in? I think they switched this. I could be wrong, but I think they switched this to like a 4-pack format for this kind of beer, so we'll see what's what. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice, rich, dark. That be Imperial Stout. Through and through. I was going to say true and true, but you guys wouldn't have laughed at that. Anyway, what do we have going on here? That's about as pretty as beer gets, to be perfectly honest with you. It's just got this creamy, ultra creamy, tight, compact head to it with this rich, dark core. I mean, it is basically what you pretty much get from Guinness. Oh, excuse me. What you get from Guinness without that cascading kind of head on it. I mean, it just looks like a classic, well-made, fluffy, creamy, delicious-looking stout, porter, all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, looks the part of a nice beer. Let's see if we can get a nose through all this head. Yeah, so it has a nice soft roasted malt to it. It has a nice dollop of chocolate on it. It has this little bit of kind of a sour milk kind of thing going on. I get that. I mean, the classic kind of... they're not really doing open fermentation on this, but they're doing those stone vessels. I think it imparts a little bit more of that kind of soft kind of like what I call it sour milk. I don't actually mean it that negatively that I get in some of these old world stouts, but there's this cool kind of, as it opens up and I get a little bit more room to get a nose off of it, it has this little bit of like a blackstrap molasses spicy thing underneath it, which is kind of cool. Yeah, that smells absolutely fantastic, actually. Doesn't really smell like a Russian Imperial Stout. Russian Imperial Stout, I'm typically, leaning into maybe a little red cherry notes, a bit more of a hop character, especially if you're dealing with an Americanized version of a Russian Imperial Stout. Comes off as just a rich, old school kind of stout, Done and done. Smells bigger than the 7%. Let's put it that way. Let's dive in. Cheers. It's delicious. It's absolutely 100% delicious. What did I review not too long ago from these guys? I think it was their Tatty Porter, maybe. And I enjoyed that quite a bit. And I forgot how good this beer is. I mean, a lot of these old school breweries like Samuel Smith's, we just pass by them. And I'm guilty as everybody else when it comes to that. Not even just I was going to say not just the old school beers, but it is the old school beers, the Trappist beers of the world, the old school stouts, English stouts, European stouts, the beers that I kind of cut my teeth on when I got into beer. And I don't pass them by out of like, I'm not drinking that shit anymore. It's more of like a weird double-edged sword. I'm like, I've had that before and I can get that whenever I want. So let me get something different this time and just to try something new. But I never, or I shouldn't say never, because obviously I'm drinking it now, rarely go, dude, just pick it up and drink it. You know it's going to be good. And actually follow through. It's continual cycle of going, yeah, I know I can get this, I'll get it later. I know I can get it, I'll get it later. I know I can get it, I'll get it later. And later never comes. But when I do, on instances like this, whether it be, like I said, the Tatty Porter, Yorkshire Stingo, a bunch of the old beer, Rochefort's, Chimay's, Westmalls, those kind of beers of the world, when I actually break down and actually go, you know what? Just buy the goddamn thing. You know you're going to love it. And I drink it, and I want to kick my own ass for not buying it more often. Let's put it that way. So, beautiful mouthfeel on it. It's not thick, new school, cool kid thick, but it's dense and creamy and fluffy. It has this nice kind of black strap molasses, like I said, on a nose that follows through in the taste. And when I mean that, there's this kind of molasses type sugar with a little bit of charry spiciness to it. Almost like barrel spiciness, kind of, in that kind of sense. It has that little bit of soft lacto sour milk kind of thing going on. And again, I don't mean that as a negative. It's just kind of the half and halfy kind of thing. I assume that's from an oat addition on this. They actually say oats, so they say grains, malt on this. But it has a soft creaminess to it. And it really is just an infinitely drinkable beer. Listen, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's Sunday. This is October, I want to say 15th, maybe 16th, middle of October. Fall is in full bloom. This is fall on the glass. It's doing exactly what I want it to do. It's the beer I deserve at this moment. And I have other dark beers, in my fridge. I can pull out some bourbon barrel aged pecan this and, rum barrel aged that. This is about as perfect as it gets. Beautiful watching football on TV, fall weather, sitting outside, just enjoying the world. It's what I want. And this beer accompanies it so well. That's kind of old school beer at its core. Before beer got so popular, it was very rare to find people that were into beer. I'm talking like late 90s, stuff like that. When I got into beer, it's very rare. So a lot of beer consumption was done at home and done individually, just kind of trying different things and stuff like that. And as much as I love hanging out with people, minus COVID times, and drinking beer, sometimes it's beautiful to kind of sit around and enjoy a beer in an outdoor environment and just enjoy the simple portion of what beer can bring. Be an accompaniment, enhancement to the environment, enhancement to being outside, enhancement to watching some sport I love, stuff like that. It just makes sense. Just makes sense. And good God, does it make me happy. Man, I can't wait to do this with my son. Good God. What am I saying? He's going to be a straight edge vegan right-winger or something. You know how that shit goes. Anyway. What else do we want to talk about this before we wrap this up? Nothing. Mouthfeel is beautiful. Impactful enough to turn you on. Not hefty enough to get in the way of just sitting and enjoying it. The way that chocolate comes off. The way that blackstrap molasses comes off. That subtle bittering, that subtle charring. It is more Russian Imperial Stout in the taste, and I believe it to be on the nose. It's still a little bit less than what I'd expect, depending on the dating on this. Again, like I said, I have no idea how old this is. Let me look at the cap. Oh, this might have a little bit of time to it. It's got a little bit of kind of bubbling craptasticness on this, so that could have kind of leveled out some of the bittering on the beer. But in the grand scheme of things, it's the beer I wanted right now. It's the beer I got, and it's about as perfect as you're going to get for this environment. So, yeah. Is it one of the better Imperial Stouts? And we use that loosely because, 7 is kind of the cutoff for that I've had as of late, yes. It's going to be Mount Rushmore status. I'm not going to lie to you, close. You're talking about a non-adjunct base Imperial Stout, Russian Imperial Stout. This is some of the best stuff I've had as of late. I mean, it is. I mean, from a purely beer purist BJCP nerdy level, it is hard pressed to find something as good, if not better than this, without dipping your toe into crazy bonkers, new school Americanized, bastardized version of beer. It's delicious. That's all I know. Value and availability. I think this comes in 4-packs, like I said, and I think it's not super expensive 4-pack. Let's put it this way. I think I paid $2 or $3 for this bottle. All MFing day. Where can you get it? Everywhere. And leave you with, if you like what we like this beer. If you like beer. I know I say that, and sometimes it's kind of like sounds like a cop-out, but it's not. It's meant to be the opposite of that. It's meant to be kind of like a dividing line, because it's like, You know, there's so many people, and there's so many different versions and variants of what beer are nowadays, that so many people are into beer, but they're not actually into beer. You know, they're into these crazy milkshake IPAs, the crazy fruit exploding beers, pastry stouts. I love those beers. I'm not knocking them, but if that's all you like, then you really don't like beer. You just like candy and fruit, and the beer just happens to be the delivery system for that. And that's what I mean when I say if you like beer. If you like beer, you'll like this. But if you say you're into beer and you don't like this, you genuinely just don't really like beer. So yeah, there you go. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Down there if you want to talk about it. Massive Beers if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff. Beer Massive if you want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing. And hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Hopefully enjoying a little bit of old school right now. Outdoors. Having a blast. Hopefully see you next time. Cheers.